Good morning for those who have joined us. We're just going to give another 5 minutes or 4 minutes. Our CEO is now starting to log on. So let's just give him another 4 minutes and we'll.
Morning, thank you.
Morning. Hello.
Hi, good morning. Alette, is that you?
Hi, it's Patricia speaking.
Trisha, good morning to you.
Good morning. How are you?
Yeah, we're all well, thank you.
Thanks, that's good.
Good, my love. We'll speak to you now.
Okay, thank you.
Hi, Sean. Just checking if you can hear us now. I saw your message that you couldn't hear anybody. Oh, cool. Okay, Sean. Thank you, Sean. Okay, so I think it's time to start. Let's get this going. So, thank you for
Yes.
taking the time. Is that somebody want to say anything? Okay, thank you for taking the time to join us. I don't think change is anything new to most of us. A new campaign, building, growing people. So we've all experienced many, many changes. However, I think this is one of the biggest business changes that we are going through for most of us in our lives. Granted, most of you aren't really that old. We've been through so many webinars of late with the CCMG, and just so that you know what is available, we've discussed the regulations, we've discussed the updated regulations, then we discussed call center directions, we've discussed UIF and TERS. We yesterday finalized latest documentation because has kept changing the requirement for a has come and gone, but you will see how to apply for TERS, the latest documentation, even a little instruction guide is loaded. It will be on the website. It was yesterday, so we loaded that all today. All of these various, also the various financial schemes and financial assistance. Discussed that on a webinar. And all of these documents and the recordings are all available on the website. If you just scroll down on the landing page, there's a big coronavirus sort of label. If you click on that, you'll find everything from beginning, from day one that this came out. We have been loading, we have been updating as we've gone through the different things. What I do today is, I did say it is interactive. We want to hear from you. I have a few questions, and please, all you need to do is unmute your mic. I'll click on it, or post a question on the side, and we address those, or say, okay, Matthew, it's your turn to talk, or Parul, or drop me a mail, so drop me a note in the comments so that I can see. This is pertinent because we have some announcements being made tonight, and is going to change, and I was very interested to see that call centers along mining and food production were actually mentioned in an analyst report in the news this morning. So let's hope we have a fair bit of good news. I'd like to, we have a number of our council members on board. I know Tanya is there. I know Matthew, you're there. Parul, you're there. I can't see other participants, so I look forward and maybe now have an opportunity to just open up this discussion. Any of you? Ah, Janelle, you're there too. Thank you, Janelle. Any of you want to just add something at this time?
Michael is here.
Morning.
Michael is here. Hi, morning.
Morning, Michael. So I'll kick off then with the first question. I did include all the questions, and council, if the rest of the people are a little nervous to participate, I'm relying on you to start sharing as well, because this is an interactive session. It is being recorded. I will share it on the website again later. So what kind of planning are you doing, have you done for today, the next 30 days, and the next 60 days? I think it's fairly important to understand that from any of you, and we have a variety of industries. Go. I thought 10 o'clock was a good time for all of you, however. So I think very interesting to have noted in the press a variety of companies that were quick on the change, that were able to mobilize their staff. We have noted, and we've had comments, we have seen agents picking up their desktops, their keyboard, all their bits, and packing it into a box, and they have been allowed to go home, to go work from home. As you all know, it was a bit of a can we, can't we, should we, shouldn't we, and it took a while, and there were a couple of versions of, as I said, all the documentation to understand whether we can or can't. So can I hear from somebody out there? This is like pulling teeth, who has happily working at home, and it's working for you, and what you did at the last minute to get it organized.
Hi, Sharon.
Hi, good morning.
Hi, this is Yumna. The company that, well, the organization that I work for is the National Student Financial Aid Scheme, and we are part of the public sector. So what we basically do is we support students and we administer funds on behalf of the government for the previously disadvantaged students and so forth. So I just want to give a high level. So our contact center is about a 90-seater contact center, and it's split into social media, voice, email, and we have self-service, which is Connect. Basically what we did in preparation with lockdown is that we could fortunately manage to get laptops for all our staff members, and they were able to work from home. However, they were obviously not able to connect via telephone because of constraints with regards to telephony systems. However, we have found that our students are more open to communicating with us via social media as well as via email. So what has been working is the fact that we have daily call-outs with leadership, and we talk about some of the issues that are coming through via email and via the various social media platforms. And the executives and the decision makers are in that is present in that meeting, and they actually make decisions immediately, and we are all able to report back to our staff 12 o'clock every single day. So for now, I think we're very lucky because we have a student base who prefers to actually use social media as a way of communicating with us. But I'm just really keen to hear how other organizations are managing data usage, as well as the motivation of staff while they are not in the office. So yeah, that's it from our side.
Thank you, Yumna. Yeah, I think a data question is a very interesting question. Tanya, I see you want to say something. I'll carry on after you.
Sorry. I just wanted to ask, Yumna, what telephony system are you running? Is it not a cloud-based platform? Did you have an on-premise connection?
So that's the challenge, and I think some of my colleagues on the call would also want to comment. But we do have, with the public sector, we unfortunately have a contract signed with an outsourcer, and I'm not sure if I'm able to share that, but it was actually a little bit of a challenge for us. It is supposed to be cloud-based. However, we were just restricted with regards to the functionalities of some of those. We are hopefully going into tender for a new telephony system as that contract is ending. So hopefully by August, September this year, we'll find something different and that's more flexible to support our client base.
Excellent. Okay. Anyone else on the call that have got voice working, if you want to share how you did that?
Hi, my name is Leona. I'm from iSmart. We are a telecommunications call center. I moved some of my collections agents actually over to work from home. I have about 13 agents currently working from home. So we literally had to set up their desktops and move them to their houses with USB Wi-Fi. We're currently going through so much data. We use about 5 gigs in 2 days, but it's just because of all of the systems we run. And at this moment, I have another 12 agents where I'm delivering desktops to after we got our certificate to travel. So we're delivering that as from yesterday and then setting up at their houses for them with Wi-Fi. And then I've got somebody setting up remotely for them. So at first when we started this, I'm just trying to cover everything that you mentioned you want us to cover. So at first when we started, I had to look at a different way of managing them. And obviously, because now it's difficult, you're not in the office, you can't address them. And what I also realized is my team leaders have so many different programs and so many different reports they have to work from. So I had to make clear expectations of what I need them to look at every day. And then obviously I also had to micromanage a little bit more and look at the stats myself to make sure that we are doing the right thing. And then in terms of motivation, one thing that really works for us at this moment is we have a WhatsApp group that we created. Everyone's on that group that's currently working from home, and me myself as well. So I try to encourage the guys every day and try to myself keep up with what the stats is, although that's not the thing that I usually do every day, but just get a little bit more personally in that. Also, I've listened to a few self-learning things on the internet, and one of the things that I checked in first was making sure that everyone has food and everyone has have a living condition that is okay. And there was actually people that came forward to say that they don't have food, and I got someone to deliver to them. And you know, people are so thankful, and they even just so thankful that you put it on the you can say, listen, here, is there somebody that needs this? They are thankful that you're out there and you know, trying to look after their self-being. So yeah, I think I'm just quickly trying to cover a few things that you mentioned, but yeah, it's really been working well for me. Agents are performing 3 times better than what they do in the office. I'm not sure if it is the work from home environment, avoiding the traveling, and or my change in management style and getting more involved myself, but something's definitely working for me at this moment.
That's amazing, because I've heard that from several sources. Is anyone else on the line that's had a similar experience, an increase in productivity?
Can I just ask a question back to the 5 gig?
Yes.
So we also have that challenge. Sorry, my name's Mandy. I'm also with Yumna from the National Student Financial Aid Scheme. Can I just find out, because we are trying to, because we've got quite a big staff complement on the different platforms, and we are trying to monitor the data usage without breaking any privacy rules or laws. So we want to find out how many on average, how many applications, online applications, are your agents going through every query or every day to make up this 5 gig? Because right now, the only way we are monitoring it is we try and check across the whole staff complement if the data usage is on average the same. And then obviously we've got the outliers that have large numbers, which we are dealing with separately. But we are trying to just understand the data usage.
So from my side, we currently work 3 programs. So one is obviously a dialer, then one is an internal, let's call it system where we can, you know, see all of the financials, and then one is Intercon. I'm not sure if everyone is aware what that is. So basically we use all 3 programs, but our dialer is an automatic dialer, so it dials all of the numbers in the background and it pushes through. So an agent deals with more than 1,000 calls a day. So it's very high volumes. It's not low volumes that we're talking about. It's for the full 8 hours. They are constantly busy on calls, either voicemails or actually talking to a customer. Yes. So that's how we use the full 5 gigs in 2 days.
If I could just ask, have any of you come across any affordable data solutions? I know we've just, actually not yesterday, day before, we have written to RAIN to see how they can assist us. And Tanya, this goes hand in hand with the online training that we're trying to allow agents to use and not cost them a hell of a lot of data. So we've gone to RAIN that seem to be pretty affordable, and that's sort of an unlimited open, and that gives you, for 30 days, it's 900 and something rand. Huawei haven't come back to us as yet. We've also asked them, because we've noticed ourselves, and we're a very small team, working from home. It is data that is, honestly, we do, in amongst 5 of us, we can in 3 days do 10 gigs.
Hi Sharon, if I can just jump in there quickly on the RAIN topic you've just raised. One of the biggest challenges that RAIN has is it was launched up in the north and it's making its way down south. Their biggest challenge is coverage. So if you're looking at the Western Cape region, you get very, very low speeds down here in terms of being able to download relative to other services around like fiber, but obviously in the communities where fiber is not available, which is probably where most of our call center agents are based, you'd have to look at other solutions. But I think down in the Western Cape, they are having a little bit of a challenge around getting the speed up, but I agree with you in terms of unlimited or uncapped download bandwidth. That is a solution if the fiber facility doesn't exist. But most of the clients or most of the firms that I've spoken to are cloud-based and they're pretty big. So they facilitated most of their data downloads and telephony through this cloud service, which has been covered by the firm or by the company itself. So there hasn't been a significant increase in the costs. What has happened, and this I'm kind of leading to Yumna and Mandy, what we have found is that a lot of staff have started using the company infrastructure for their personal use. And I maybe want to just touch on the different levels in an organogram that you have. Obviously, at a management level, you know this is a work tool which is used only for work purposes, and seldom do you veer off that because you have your personal infrastructure. For a lot of the staff, this is a new experience for them, being firstly equipped with laptops, secondly the functionality to work from home, and we have seen an increase in productivity on the historical data based on the fact that there's greater flexibility for staff to manage both personal time and work time. However, the amount of data and time spent on personal items in terms of checking their own personal emails, WhatsApp, other social media sites has increased. So to Yumna and Mandy, as much as there's a restriction in terms of you trying to avoid privacy invasion or breaching any POPI rules, this is still a work tool and they're expected to perform a work task. So you're well within your rights to ensure that there's compliance, irrespective of those sitting on the outskirts of the norm in terms of consumption. You're entitled to make sure that this is purely used for work purposes, so that there's no abuse, even if they are below the radar. So that was my 2 cents on both the RAIN issue as well as the protection of personal information that you feel you may be infringing on Yumna and Mandy.
Thank you, Matthew.
Thank you, Matthew. That's great. Yes, we had discovered that in the Western Cape with RAIN, but however, we have reached out to everybody to ask. Fiber is a little difficult for the agents. I find where we've done surveys for people that are currently designated and are doing their CPD through ProTalent or through SkillsBook. Yeah, data is an issue because they don't have easy access to fiber, and it's the same. If they're in the center of Soweto, absolutely great, and they've got access to it there. But the sooner they spread out a little further, it becomes difficult. So data is something that we have to have a look at in the whole of the industry, and that was spurred on by Tanya, who wanted us to find a solution.
Can I maybe just come in there and ask, have you guys spoken to the big cell phone providers about the cost of data for call centers specifically?
I haven't, Vaynant. I suppose we can reach out to them, but again, it's not just for call center use that we were looking at. It was also for little individuals at home. I've even gone down the road of, should we find somebody to sponsor a voucher or vouchers that we can at least send them a number, because again, getting access to that and getting the routers and connectivity also became a problem as we were unpacking this whole thing. We haven't spoken to them. We've spoken to them on other things, which they are a bit slow because I think they are battling themselves.
Yeah, I think that they're snowed under with requests at the moment because I am in a conversation with them to zero rate SkillsBook as an application. And yeah, look, I mean, the initial indications are positive, but we haven't had a final approval yet. There seems to be...
Vaynant, I want to pick up on that if you don't mind, because something I wanted to share with this forum and that we are being challenged with as an industry. I think we all agree that this is, despite what happens and despite announcements tonight and kind of the targeted lockdown being lifted, I think we all understand that business, we're not just going to flick a switch and business is going to go back to normal. In fact, there's talk that business won't return to normal forever, but definitely not before any form of normality, not before September, possibly not before April. We're dealing with with a situation that has fundamentally changed the fabric of our economy, of every way we have previously done business and will continue to do business. So as an industry, and this is the downside of what has happened, is we are looking at emerging from this with, well, the talk at the moment is an estimated 20 to 30% loss in jobs at agent level for a variety of reasons and across all industries, not necessarily domestic, because I think that everyone in their power is doing exactly what we're talking about today, a combination of work from home and possibly still being on site, but observing the, where you are essential services and observing what needs to happen from a social distancing point of view, from a health and safety point of view. We've also heard of, and perhaps on the chat today, there's individuals that have changed brick and mortar structures, so previous branches into mini contact centers. So you know, taking the contact centers and then kind of enabling individuals to work from various branches, again with the social distancing and health and safety recommendations at play, etc. And the one thing that we were saying is that if that is the case, then we as an industry need to be gearing to say, if we have individuals at home, what do we do to upskill those individuals so we make them work ready for if and when things start to change and the environment starts to change? And I think core as a goal in our industry is obviously job preservation, but in the face of that not being possible in certain environments, and it's maybe quite relevant in the outsourcing space, because obviously companies who are previously outsourcing, if they can't or they've been unable to for various reasons, will be relooking those strategies. It could result in increased job losses. What do we do from a skills perspective, Vena, to get these as a country, as an industry? So how do we align, with all the industry players and political players so that we can start to proactively do something to upskill individuals that might be at home, can be enabled, and could get certain qualifications so that they are work ready and could mitigate that risk?
All right. Well, that's a very interesting point, or couple of points that you're making there. First of all, for my sins, I've been co-opted onto the COVID-19 Civil Committee Front, which is a NEDLAC institution, if you want to put it that way, a NEDLAC initiative. And the talk for the last 2 weeks in Pretoria has been all around basically three categories, as I can summarize it. First and foremost is the initiative one is, how do we save the people of South Africa? That has a initiative which is emerging, and I've been mentioning it to Sharon as well, and there's talks about the establishment of more call centers to deal with COVID specific, and in that maybe one or two small opportunities. Part and parcel of that is to deploy contact tracers, which will collect information from households, and it will be any information from the one person in the household didn't get the food parcel, or another person is potentially sick, possibly positive with COVID, malnutrition, domestic violence, whatever, data collection per se. That's on that particular level, and that will be fed into a type of a data center. But the second level from Save Them goes to the next step is now let us look at what the effect of COVID is. I keep on saying, and not everybody like me for it, I said it doesn't help you survive COVID just to be in time to starve because you're unemployed. So on level 2, we're looking at how do we capacitate and recapacitate South Africans. And for the call center industry, this is a disruptor. This is a real fourth industrial revolution disruptor. And I think the answer lies in coming up with types of packages whereby the working from home thing can be managed more effectively, so to speak. And I've heard some of you have been saying, I think it's nothing short of marvelous what you're achieving. But if one can start coming up with these packages, then your next level then would be to enable conversations with your Vodacoms, your MTNs, etc., and to say to them, we want to have specific rating charges for the data on the systems that you use or the apps. I don't know what the detail is. You guys are technically, you'd know better than me for that. But that's where I think the opportunity lies. is to grab the fourth industrial revolution, which, frankly speaking, COVID-19 is the biggest stimulus to the fourth industrial revolution yet. Grab that and see it as an opportunity, and activate the remote working and do things differently. For the call center industry, it's definitely, guys, it's an opportunity for us. You know, there's for example, also, one of the projects that I'm working on the third level, and the third level is to emancipate them. There's a thing called the route to market. I don't know if you know, but most of you probably would, but spaza shops and superettes, etc., in the rural areas and townships mostly belong to foreigners. But nobody is actually really paying attention to the route to market. That last mile distribution is a business which is ready for disruption and is currently being addressed. It's a project that I'm working on. And I can tell you there's going to be a lot of SME formation on that. However, even in that, there's opportunity for the contact center again, because from the household to how do we get, or from the spaza shop, how do we get to the distribution? There's opportunity for contact centers. I mean, some of them would be automated and bots, but nevertheless, it's a contact center industry opportunity.
Excellent. I agree. So there's definitely is going to be, but we all have to be thinking very differently and collaborating very differently moving forward. So just to keep on the training space, because I think I'd be interested to hear from the forum, how are the trainers online geared to enable people to work from home? Any trainers, training, even operational people, have you just put training on hold for now? That's also okay, because I think a lot of us entered the lockdown with obviously the priority is just getting connected and being able to service our customers, and having to deal with some really burning issues like are our people safe and connected, etc. But knowing that life will change and we may I would like to believe we would return to a hybrid, that we would see more work from home solutions, that it makes sense from reducing costs, that it services certain metrics like productivity and attendance and punctuality and all of those lovely things, while it introduces a certain level of complexity, and we can talk about that now. I'd be really keen to understand if anyone on this call can share what they've done to innovate from a training, from a learning perspective. Because Wynand, I know you could add a lot, and I like the combination of what you do, because that's your business, and you are innovative, and everything you have done previously is online. And I'd like to see how those environments that maybe still had very much a training room type thing, what they've done to gear or are thinking of doing.
Can I maybe just, whilst I've got the stage, quickly capitalize and say is that what COVID-19 did for Skillsbook is it necessitated us to look at how would you deliver online learning from the accredited point of view. Yes. And finally, it made my team actually see the wood from the trees. My new sort of like soapbox language isn't online learning, it's curated online systems. I've always said I don't think e-learning is really the answer. You cannot eliminate the face-to-face, the contact, etc. Whether you do that digitally on a Zoom meeting or whatever, you can't eliminate the actual alive person on the other side of something, whether it's in a classroom or a Zoom call or a Skype, doesn't matter. And the re-engineering, what we did in the last 3 weeks to re-engineer the delivery of Skillsbook, in terms of offering something like contact center level 4 online, has been nothing short of epic. And I laugh. I think about my IT team, and it's taken me like years to get them to understand that all you really needed to do was to simplify things. Everybody always wants to complicate stuff to the point of no return in this country. They always want to fly before they can plant seeds. Our solutions, guys, are simple. Come up with simple, straightforward, simplistic solutions. Don't try and eliminate the trainer, for example, the actual alive person. What I'm talking about, what I mean by curated systems, is that you have a type of face-to-face learning, which is either contact or remote, but it is supported by a strong online system. So the E part of it is underneath, so to speak, is an underlying system to support the facilitator, which is still the team leader in the creation of competency and knowledge. And that's my 2 cents.
Love it. Anyone else?
Okay, I just want to jump in there. We're carrying on with the same thought, and I also want to refer to a SAQA conversation. But Patricia, thank you for that. I don't know if you've seen the comments. What they have done is they've not allowed certain applications from the company data package, like Instagram and Facebook. And then Leanne, thank you, that was brilliant. They've managed to purchase 120 SIM cards from Rain for their agents, unlimited data at 479. That is for nothing. And they've negotiated a 3-month contract. You had to, okay, the routers. Okay, so therein lies the little issue. Leanne, how have you found the connection and the communication? Because Matthew did refer to Rain being a bit soft on the ground in the Western Cape. Leanne, are you still there?
Hi guys, sorry. The overall connection, because Rain it's basically everywhere right now, but like I mentioned earlier on, is the area doesn't have the fiber. It is a bit of a problem, but I mean, we're talking about like 5% of the Western Cape, for example. But I mean, you can actually check on Rain's website. That's what we done. We checked Rain's website in terms of the areas, and I mean, it was very limited areas with no coverage. So hence the reason why we went with Rain instead of a Cell C, for example, or Vodacom. Because the other challenge with that was load shedding was our problem. For example, Cell C in the area I'm in, there's no coverage when it's load shedding. So a lot of the network providers, when the load shedding kicks in, there's just no coverage. Where with Rain, with the mobile router, there will still be coverage, even if it's load shedding, for example.
Thank you for that. That helps with a few of our questions. And if I can ask, what did you pay for the routers?
Okay, the routers was a bit of a challenge because I think everyone was on the same idea. So we went to like 3 different franchises. Takealot was the one. I think we purchased one for 700 Rand for one from Takealot. And then we got to a point where we ran out of them and we had to go to MTN and we paid about 900 Rand for one. So it was quite expensive.
Oh, okay. No, I ask only because we had to buy 2 routers and this was before we went underground kind of thing. And I managed to get them from Vodacom for 599 Rand each.
But what SIM were you using in the Vodacom one?
It was a Vodacom one, unfortunately. So I'm
sure
so that's
why. The problem.
Yeah. Anybody
with
else?
The cheaper ones.
We're going to carry on with the training now. Is anybody else wiser than what we are and you've heard of better costing? Okay. Drop us, Rosina. Okay, Rosina, I'm just going to come back to the training. So, Janelle, you're not part of the conversation, but you were outside at the time. We did discuss with Services CETA exactly that. And this is months ago, before we were under lockdown, before we were even talking about it, the fact that the fourth industrial revolution is going to change the contact center industry in leaps and bounds. And we've seen it through the conferences that we've had the whole of last year. And what we are saying to Services CETA is we need to find a mechanism to retrain all the good people. So we don't want to lose all these really great agents that we have when there is an opportunity that a bot is going to take their job, but they can be retrained into QA, into data, into supervision. And that's what we need to be looking at as well, is upskilling these kids for the next role. And I honestly think that the designations play such a strong role because it's all recognition of prior learning. You can get your assessments done, you can do your CPD, and currently CPD, because we're not having events, it's all webinar events. We use Skillsbook and we use ProTalent, and there is so much available across the board for these people. Okay, now Rosina, to come back to you, Tanya, this will link into what you're saying. Training providers are now busy with getting the online learning with the SETA going. Okay, all providers have to do is extend their scope to e-learning. Services SETA has already got a product that training providers can use. Oh, wow. Okay, so there you go, guys. For the training providers out there, reach out to Services SETA, because clearly there is a tool there that they have available for you. That should be magnificent. Tans, do you want to take it from there, unless there are other comments?
Last comment on training. We can move on to some of the operational issues or ideas. Something that struck me the other day was the similarities in what we could learn from the Department of Education. So here is, if you think about it, overnight everybody became homeschooled, right? And we had never geared the parents for that, the kids for that, all the teachers for that. And yet, and by the way, they deal with exactly, so I'm just going to use my reference, but again, this is just the purpose of today's information sharing and to get ideas. So the school that my daughter goes to is a government school, and we have a combination of individuals that may have access to, to laptops and things like Google Classroom, but in the whole we don't. And what we found, what our teachers did was brilliant. So right up front, everyone was asked to complete a bit of a survey so that they could gather what the lay of the land was in terms of things like connectivity and access to tools, etc. Very, very quickly they geared. The teachers did things, and the primary channel that they have engaged for learning is WhatsApp. So in our WhatsApp channels, every Monday we would get, and it's done via email as well, but basically what the teachers have done is they've then said, right, for this week, this is what needs to be covered. They've converted what would be in textbooks into PDF format. They have created their own videos. So exactly what you're saying, Vainand, where you don't take the teacher out of the system or the trainer out of the system. You have the teachers recording anything from maybe a multiplication exercise or a poem or a song or whatever the case is. So a combination of videos, worksheets, etc., and even assessments using Kahoots as an example. And that is very much in the junior, teaching space. Think of how you can apply exactly that in our environment right now. So the trainers could be doing exactly that. It's sharing using a different channel, being creative, chunking it down into bite-sized chunks, finding online tools to do assessments. But again, it's encouraging, and I think that's what I'd like to lead to now, is it's really encouraging leadership. Because I think if we have to be really brutally honest with ourselves, I don't think technology was always the major barrier. We may have said, we may have put it up there as working from home was always made difficult by things like we've just discussed today. But we've all just proved where there's a will, there's a way. And in fact, in a lot of environments, companies, have overcome that, whether that's big. And that's why I asked, because those who have deployed cloud solutions were able to engage far quicker, could create VPN access, etc., and they get their staff up and running. So I think we have to be if we're blatantly honest, there's a way around enabling this. But I think what was always the other barriers related to, do we trust our agents? Are our agents empowered enough to work remotely? How do we feel about losing control, losing visibility? How do we create forums to collaborate more effectively, to communicate more effectively? And that's where I feel we've seen the brilliance. So, and that whether we, as this world evolves and as we maybe implement a hybrid solution, or even if, and I think it would be but even if we do go back to business as usual and move everyone back on site, that is missing in our day-to-day environment or taken for granted. So just because you're sitting and you have visibility of people doesn't mean that our leaders are effectively collaborating or supporting. The fact that there was such beautiful stories shared in the beginning, but the fact that we, in this time of crisis, have reached out to say, are you okay? I think is something we should be doing with our people every day, regardless of where they sit. So I believe there's been so much where we've been challenged as an industry and where where the true leadership skills, the skills of empowerment and trust and communication and self-management, self-leadership is now at the fore more so than ever. And look at the response you're getting from your workforce. Improved productivity, improved, commitment, which I think when I've engaged with our industry, that those are some of the legacy issues we've really grappled with. High attrition rates, lack of commitment, high absenteeism rates. And I guess what I want to say is there's a real opportunity here to share what we're doing, but not only to do that in a time of crisis, but to continue to do that beyond the crisis. So to continue to say, how do we continue to do things differently? So the training was a great example. But operationally, what are some of the things that we could continue to do? So you're making decisions quicker, expos available because they're participating in stand-ups. Why should that change when we go back to post-COVID? And that's my question. So what are some of the things what else are the operational people on this team doing to make their people feel connected?
Thank you, Terence. Brilliant comment there. And
Hi.
Okay, go. Whoever that.
Sorry, Sharon. Good morning, everybody. I just wanted to give my feedback in terms of, I'm working with 2 projects at the moment. I'm a learning and development specialist. I'm working with 2 very big projects, one with the city of Ekurhuleni, which is the biggest municipality in South Africa. And we currently busy with a project of empowering them through technology through an ERP project, which means that the people in the business or the municipality are not IT ready. So this lockdown specifically, we wanted to see how we could do things online. Unfortunately, most of these staff are not equipped with either cell phones, interestingly enough, or the ability to understand how to work a system like Zoom. So what we've done is we've decided to go in and only, because it's municipality, we have essential staff. So we are training essential staff, and when they get into that environment or that venue, we make sure that they're 2 meters apart. They have all the gear that they need to proceed with their training, but we don't do any assessments because because it's a systems training, a lot of the training is application based and they don't have access to those applications. So we've created an awareness training where we create understanding of what this particular module is going to look like. We email that through to them. A lot of them are unable to open emails, unfortunately, but at least we've sent out that information for those that can access. And then when they get back to the environment, those people that are not essential staff will then come into training. Those people that have been trained will only be assessed after lockdown, because then they have the opportunity to apply themselves at the workplace. So that's one of the ways that we've done it. We've also used Zoom in some instances just to brief them, to take them through a walkthrough, and then send them the material via email, and then we'll assess them post-lockdown. So that is, unfortunately, when we are not empowered with technology. We needed to find alternatives. The other companies specifically, they have all the technology available to them, but they are battling with motivation and getting productivity off the ground. So my recommendation to them was exactly what Tanya said. Your leadership now needs to shine. Where leaders before used to be on the floor and lacked a leadership ability, they're really going to show up now. It is time for them to stand up and to make effort around staff engagement, around motivation, around inspiration, and how are they communicating it? So when they have their 12 o'clock meetings every day, are they first checking the well-being of their staff? Are they asking questions? Are they understanding what some of the problems are, within those particular homes? Because I think a lot of people have their own issues there. And really connecting with an individual on a personal level, not perhaps on a 12 o'clock meeting, but through that 12 o'clock meeting they can understand and hear, and they really need to improve their communication skills and understand and really listen to what's not being said. So the leadership absolutely needs to shine. Even the briefings or the letters that are coming from senior management. I had a look at one of the emails, and it's here, we know that COVID is here, but we still want you've still got a job to do. And it's almost like, we understand, but we're going to give you a slap on the wrist if you don't perform. And I said to them, they need to change the way they communicate that. They need to be a little bit more encouraging. They need to show trust more as opposed to distrust. And they're starting to see improvement merely by the way they're engaging and communicating with their staff. And of course, the leaders are now far more active with their staff. So there's more engagement now than there's ever been, even when they were together on the floor. And they are starting to see an improvement in productivity. So that's my 2 cents worth.
Thank you, Angela. I just want to refer quickly. I keep jumping back, but I'm checking the notes. Janelle, sorry, her mic doesn't work at the moment. So Rosina, I might not have understood what you were saying, that Services CETA are actually doing something as a system. Janelle saying they don't really have something as such. So maybe we can just get some clarification a little later. I just want to come back to Tanya. I know you want to talk about adherence, but I just want to give you 2 examples of just sticking to the training. So number one, I know somebody who is actually in a swimming school. And as you said, Raina, I mean, think of a swimming school. How are you going to teach little ones to swim when they're not in a pool? There is a swimming school in Pretoria currently that is videoing their lessons on a daily basis and then training little ones with their mummies to actually swim. So guys, it's all possible. If you can teach a little kid to swim in a bucket of water or something, you're getting somewhere. That's the first thing. Then the second thing, just leading on to Tanya's adherence, yeah, I think also you're going to see the people that shine right now, those that have the discipline, those that take responsibility, that know to sit down and work is work. I was talking to somebody on Monday. They've got a campaign with 50 people that are all working from home. And she says it was amazing to see when they're in the office, you've got that slap on the wrist, behave, do this, do that, from a distance, and this added communication that Angela refers to. She has 2 people out of 50 that just cannot get their act together. So we take 5 calls all day long because of this and because of this. But because of tools, management tools being available to the team leaders and the managers, they can actually see. And I think it's also a learning process for those that may have been struggling even more in our environments that we didn't see because there's so many of them. And now we're looking at individuals. Okay. This is very true. More top performers are surfacing. Absolutely. And I hear that from contact centers. The people that have said that productivity has increased 3-fold. And I've been hearing that since week 1, which is wonderful to understand. Tanya, you want to run to adherence? Adherence.
No, I just want to raise that on another forum that I was in, one of the challenge, I'm putting it out there because I'd like a few opinions. They were saying that, yes, they're seeing an increase in a lot of these type metrics that we've spoken about, but that they were battling with adherence. I wanted to hear from anyone if they've had something similar or other metrics that you are battling with. What is it in the operational space that you're saying, sure, we can't get our head around the following, if anything?
Okay, so the one I raised is definitely some of those that don't have the discipline because they're at home or they're possibly sitting in their pajamas or treating it as, oh, I'm at home, whatever. So I think that discipline is definitely some people you're going to definitely come across that because it's also difficult. You've got dogs in the background. You've got mommy going to the shop and you've got to look after the brother or sister because they're the younger ones, and family not understanding that yes, you're there but you are working. So I think those kind of things are also at risk here. Anybody else?
Yes, I agree with that, but at least the ones you can actually manage that as long as you've got KPIs in place and making sure that they stick to that. My biggest challenge at this moment is connectivity. So, they lose connectivity, have to go out of all of the programs, restart, and then get back in connect again. That's my biggest challenge, and losing the most time on connectivity challenges at this point.
Interesting. So just on, and again, it's an opinion, and that's why we're sharing. So adherence is an interesting one. I see there are some outsourcers on the line. Parul, I'm going to call you out just because I recognize the name. But if we look at the history of adherence really came about because when you're in the outsource space, you are contracted to deliver productive hours and achieve certain outcomes like a service level, etc. And in that outsourced environment, a lot of the companies were saying, you know, the way that the contracts were structured is you could miss service level in the key slots during the day, because generally you measured per half hour intervals. And, you know, we all know that we're dealing with the bell curve. So you could almost have too many staff available in the morning. So you're running at kind of like 100% service level, and later on in the evening, the same thing. And then during the day when it's really important, because that's the stuff that impacts accessibility and in turn could impact, you know, customer satisfaction. We weren't always, and I'm just talking personally now because obviously I was in the outsource space for 15 years. And as a result, there was a big push in the outsourced industry to introduce this thing called adherence, so that you would adhere to those schedules and have the right number of people that you were locking in per half hour. What's very interesting, and we, in the history of contact centers, we have a habit of doing this, is we then took that and we made that kind of a company benchmark. And I've seen domestic outsource contact centers have adherence. I guess my challenge to everyone is you have to understand, is there value in that metric for you as an organization? So when I've been running contact centers, obviously, as I said, it governed in the outsource space, but generally you can set your outputs, and I think that's what we're seeing happen now. So we're moving and we're shifting our focus to say, right now during this crisis, what's really important? What are those outputs that are just not negotiable right now? And we're making them fewer, but we're having complete dedication to achieving those. And the inputs we're more flexible on. And my challenge to everyone is that's how we should be leading, because effective leaders and effective companies do that. When we micromanage and we tell people how to do their job, you limit creativity and you limit the amount of trust that you have in an environment, and invariably it generates the exact opposite behavior that we hope to achieve. So the learning, I think, through all of that is to have a look at our KPIs and to challenge ourselves and to say, you know, have we historically, not everyone obviously, but have we maybe hung our hats on, you know, these best practice measures just because someone says they're best practice, or because they are best for your organization and to achieve your strategic goals? So the challenge, I think, to the operational teams right now is to use this opportunity to really say what is important, and also challenge yourself. If you're seeing increased productivity and increased commitment, you're seeing people rise, superstars that maybe weren't superstars in the past, you're not necessarily, I would hazard a guess here, and that's because they feel more empowered. Think of yourselves. If you feel valued and if your contribution is valued and you feel valuable, you tend to do more, and you tend to overcommit, and you tend to take risk, and you tend to trust more. And it's that balance that I think for many years we've battled with, and that is why in a lot of our in sections of or sectors of our industry, we've been known as the sweatshops of the modern era. And what a beautiful opportunity this is presenting us to challenge the way we lead, to challenge the way our team leaders lead, to really say what is ultimately important. And I guess we've all on this call, I'd imagine, I know we get it. We get that, you know, it's the 80-20 rule, and 80% should be people and leadership stuff, and 20% the task and management stuff. But we also get that the nature of our work is very task-driven and very task-orientated. But here are some great examples of how we can challenge what we measure, what's important to us to achieve. So what are those key things that we need to have in place? And you'll probably find that less is more. And then exactly who's going to deliver that, and it's our people. And what do we do to engage those individuals? And I think we're writing the case studies right now. And that is what we need to be proud of and publish going forward, to say that our industry not only has exactly what Wynand said earlier, the ability to come out of this surviving and even possibly thriving, but fundamentally changing the way that we do things and the perception of the value that we add to our people and our organizations.
Thank you, Tans. I think we've had some really valid points. And I honestly believe we were all fourth industrial revolution. Listen, COVID virus has got nothing on that. And it's proven how good this can all be. I want us to carry on with the conversation, but I am aware that I did say until 11 o'clock. So because we started at 5 past, I probably got 4 minutes. But please, if you want to stay on the line, I am recording it. If you need to go to another meeting, please go. I'm just looking at Liana. They've been recording coaching material and uploading it on YouTube. Yes, YouTube has been our absolute friend through this whole time, and it's magnificent. Again, it is data, so yes, I hear Yumna, and we do have data issues that we've got to resolve, but we will carry on with that. And then Janelle, in terms of training, it is emerging that online learning is showing a far better result. I'm sure. Yes, we've seen the results. It is definitely. So I'm going to give you an opportunity to comment on the adherence and the KPIs after Tanya's comments. Otherwise, we'll just move forward, and I'll try and make it as short as possible, but we are enjoying this conversation.
I wonder if I can just quickly mention is that one of the things that Skillsbook is doing is releasing a 4IR pack during COVID-19. Anybody that wants to use it, if you want to use it for your communities, your staff, etc., the first one, Critical Thinking, has been released. You simply need to go to Skillsbook's website and you just click on the COVID-19 voucher and you can get the Critical Thinking at no charge whatsoever. There will be more later.
Thank you, Vainant. And yes, as per our agreement, just send me the information. We'll put it on an email and send it to the base. Absolute pleasure. Guys, we are here to help all of you in whatever you're doing, where you need to market. We need to know what the providers are doing. We are very open to sharing all this information with absolutely everybody. So I have...
And Sharon, maybe... Can I have just for those on the call, if you have a question that hasn't been answered or you haven't raised it or you would like a forum, just pop Sharon a message, please, or comment in the chat, because then, Sharon, you could gear another webinar specifically with certain industry experts to address possibly, for example, whatever it may be, operational issues or connectivity issues, or just the basic questions that you feel the industry needs to focus on and deliver.
With pleasure. Yes, guys, we get questions all day, every day, and we've become quite good at finding all the answers. And that's as we progress through all these various webinars that we've been hosting. So there's one question I'll end with, which was actually what I want to find out eventually, what is not going to change after this, or what are you really changing from the past to the present? But before that, I just want to give everybody an opportunity. Exactly. If you need any help, email me. I will find the answers or put you in contact with somebody. I can only be honest and say, I do, I don't, ek weet nie. Have you guys applied for the UIF, the TERS? If any of you are struggling, I promise you it's all on the website. We've gone through this with a lot of pain through many other smaller companies as well. So we've got information. Look on the website. If not, we'll point you in the right direction. The same is for all the other funds that are out there. I know people are struggling. I hear it daily. Honestly, we've put together a couple of slides of the various funds that are available out there. Please, if you need guidance or direction, just speak to us. We have spent a lot of time. Again, any assistance. And then I want to ask everybody, please, I'm going back to questions quickly. From an HR perspective, it's important that companies, have a COVID-19 policy and procedure for when we do return to work as per legislation in terms of wearing masks. Yes, Janelle, very important. And also, if you have a look at the call center directions that were published last week, I think we went to market with them, all the requirements are there already. So they've basically written your policy, because I think as we keep hearing, there will be a second wave, there will be something else. We need to be prepared. We don't want to go back here. We want to be able to say, we have taken this on board. We are adults, and we are going to make sure this works properly. Yumna, but I'd be keen to hear how managers are managing team leaders differently. Maybe a topic for your next webinar, focus on middle management. Okay, thank you. Yumna, we will do exactly that. So I leave my question out there. So I can honestly say that as a CCMG, things have worked so well that we don't need officers as such. We need a boardroom for the council to get together. We need a space of gathering. We need a space for staff to go in, get together on the odd occasion, or just to meet up or do various things with filing and all of that. So it is something that we are going to look at in the future. Do we need all these bricks and mortars? I know data is an issue, but if you look at your rent and you look at all of that and you weigh it up against possible, when we look at the kind of things that RAIN are doing, it's very possible. Anybody else?
I think that was a very good webinar. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Sure. 32 people on the call. They are diminishing now. We're down to 23. But please, guys, anything. Have your say. You've got all the professionals around. You've got all the smart people. Ask now.
Sharon, Angela again.
Yes.
Just a question and perhaps a recommendation is, as the CCMG, and I'll be very glad to assist with that, is Tanya mentioned it earlier in the call where she said work readiness. You know, we've always prepared our employees to be work ready at work. We've never prepared them to be work ready at home. So maybe we can just come up with a training or a briefing pack that can be distributed to all companies that they can send to agents or perhaps their team leaders on. We can perhaps do two, one on how to manage working from home and the second one how to manage leading from home. Just a recommendation.
Thank you, Angela. I had actually started something last week because there were quite a few tips out there on managing yourself at home, kind of things to take into consideration. And I thought it was a brilliant idea. So, guys, I'm grateful. If you guys want to participate, send us information. Let's put together a pack. And yes, Yumna, I think looking at team leaders and how we manage middle management differently as our next webinar. I'll call on a few of you to be the speakers. You don't only want to hear from me. And just to participate, and we maybe give everybody, sort of 10 minutes and invite the industry.
No, and maybe if one wants, we can put together like maybe a small course after that, which we can put on an offer on Skillsbook as part of the freeware for COVID-19.
Absolutely.
Maybe we see the result of that and we put that into a little program.
Yes. Albert, I'm not sure if you're still on the line from Pro Talent. Albert? No. Okay. I know that Pro Talent does have a superb...
Hello, Sharon. Yes,
Albert.
I'm here.
You are there.
Hello,
Hi.
Yes, I can follow, and I find it very stimulating, and thank you for hosting. It's a great initiative that you're having. And yes, I fully agree with what has been said around, this is about leadership. Leadership is the thing that will make things work in future, but it's not just textbook leadership. This is asking for a much deeper level of connecting with people in such a way that they develop trust. And I can't overemphasize the importance of trust in empowerment and allowing people to take initiative and work and value what they are doing, even when they make mistakes. So certainly not micromanagement. Yes, we've got a couple of things that we are working on and that we are going to bring to your attention in the near future.
Thank you, Albert. Yes, I know. We've been working with Pro Talent. They do already have some brilliant courses out, and that covers this whole lockdown period. and we're actually prepping to send out an invite for everybody to participate in that, but that will come out next week. As well as with Wynand, yes, definitely your course that we spoke about. Just waiting for the information, and it'll go out to everybody.
Awesome.
Right.
Thank you so much.
Anybody else? Tans, you want to wrap it up? No. She might be gone to the next call. Well, guys, if there aren't any additional comments, thank you. Yes, thank you. Okay, great. We've got all feedback on the side. It has all been recorded. I will download it onto YouTube now, and it should be on the website by tomorrow morning. So if that's it, I love you all. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you, everybody.